So our theme for the month in Charles Fillmore's The 12 Powers is the power of release or elimination. And it's the ability to cleanse or remove or deny, denounce, to let go. And so we've been talking about all different kinds of letting go. We've been talking about letting go of things that no longer serve us, or we've been talking about letting go, just allowing our lives to unfold in ever more beautiful and greater ways. But today I want to take a bit of a different turn on this. But first, it's also our first Sunday of Advent. Can you believe it? And so I just wanted to bring in the theme of Advent. So our Advent theme for the first Sunday is hope and faith. So hope opens within us when we sense a new possibility, and faith is stepping towards that possibility. So those are our themes. And I also wanted to give a little shout out to the Unity has these booklets that they send out if you request them, and their Advent booklet has some beautiful things in it. And one of them was an article, Peace with Grief at Christmas, Making Peace with Grief. And it's just a beautiful article by Reverend Teresa Lee. And the quote that I wanted to pull out of that is, my peacemaking practice for the holiday season is to accept, acknowledge, and allow. I accept it will be different. I acknowledge I may be uncomfortable. I allow the feelings and emotions to come as they may. We've had a lot of things happen in this community over the past while. And so just to bring you all up to speed, this past week, my little dog Annie made her transition. And so in the same week, I attended a funeral. In the same week, I welcomed back a person to Winnipeg who'd been away for several months caring for a brother who passed. There is loss that happens. This is a part of the change of life. Life is always changing, always moving. And sometimes the changes that have to happen, sometimes the letting go, sometimes the surrendering or the releasing is not our choice. Not in the way of us in our human existence. But yet, there is something divine about it. There's something beautiful and precious about it. This life that we that we live, because it's finite in its expression in this physical body. It is so, so precious. And so by honoring these changes, we honor the preciousness of life. We honor the gift of life. So I wanted to presence that, because I know that is present for so many of us. So today my talk is surrendering to change. And again, it's those sorts of changes that may not be the changes that we want. So I've taken for my centering thoughts for this talk, we begin with our Bible verse, 2 Corinthians 4, verse 18. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. And then we move into Charles Fillmore. How he sees this is, to one in spiritual understanding, there is no loss. The going and coming of material and intellectual things are but the changes in the panorama of life. If we think about it, we are all in the wave, right? We are in the wave of the ocean of existence. And that wave is always in movement. The wave never stays the same shape, it never stays the same size. It rises and it falls, it moves and it flows. But what is always, always present, what is always, is the ocean that rises into the wave. And so when we're looking at those forms that come and go, when we're looking at those people or those situations or those life experiences that come and go, and sometimes we're okay with seeing them leave, and sometimes we're not. We are just not. And that's okay. But we come to recognize that what has never left us, what can never be lost, is the divine life that is within everything. The ocean can never be lost. Only the wave changes. Ernest Holmes puts it this way. He says, "We do not look at the things which are seen as being eternal. Behind the visible and changeable is the changeless reality, the eternal one, working in time and space for the expression of itself." So this beautiful little expression of itself, that was my little Annie. While she is not in my physical presence, she now gets to be expressed as something, who knows what, something else, something grander. And so I release her. I release her from the pain that was in her existence. And I know that she has wings. And I know that she has life still, just in a different way. Joseph Campbell talks about letting go as well. He says, "We must let go of the life we have planned so as to accept the one that is waiting for us." And this is sometimes how it happens, right? We have all of these things that we think are what we want in life, and all of these things that we try so hard to hang on to that may or may not stick around for a long period of time. And sometimes it includes all sorts of things, right? It includes that job that we really liked, but then COVID happened. It includes that those friends that we loved and that we so adored and appreciated, but they needed to move across the country for something, and they're no longer here for us in the same way. It includes our families, and sometimes marriage is breaking up, and sometimes families moving in different directions. It includes all of the experiences that we have, right? So many things. We've come to this realization, especially over the past couple of years with the whole pandemic situation, we've come to the understanding that we really have no control. That just because I want it and I like it and I want it to stay in my life doesn't necessarily mean it will, or at least not in the same way. But regardless of what is leaving, there is always opportunity. There is always opportunity. There is always greater possibility. There's a quote, and I think, I can't remember the name of this philosopher. It starts with an E. Anyway, I won't say the name because I'm probably going to get it wrong. But he said this thing that other people have been saying over and over and over again in different ways, and that's that it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it, how you respond to it. It's what you do with it that matters. It's not what happens to you, because stuff is always happening. That is life. Stuff is always happening. It's what we do with it. It's how we move with it. So what I would like to consider every time, I know for myself, every time that I have surrendered to change, every single time I have surrendered fully to that change, something beautiful and wonderful and good has come from it. And I also know the opposite. Every time I have fought it and struggled against it, what comes is pain. What comes is strife. So we always have this choice, right? We have this choice about what we do with what happens in our lives. And I want to give you two things to remember, two things to sort of anchor onto. So firstly, the one thing is that when there is change, we recognize firstly that nothing is lost. Like Charles Fillmore said, nothing is ever lost. It is all a part of the infinite life, of the system of the divine. And it's kind of like that physics quote, or that physics truth law that says energy is neither created nor destroyed. The life that we are, the energy of our thought, the energy of our beingness is neither created nor destroyed. We are a vibration of life. And so that vibration goes on. Nothing is ever lost. Okay, so that's the first thing. And then the second thing is letting go of the attachment that we have to the way we think we want it allows us an opportunity for greater possibilities, or other possibilities. Maybe neither greater nor lesser, but other possibilities. So nothing is ever lost. And by surrendering to change, we are afforded greater opportunities. There's a quote by Dr. Jim Lockhart in his blog, New Thought Evolutionary, and I love this. He has a kind of a blunt way of saying this, but I'm going to read it anyhow because I think it's important to say. Letting go of things we're comfortable with is difficult. It's also a challenge to identify what may be holding us back and what may be helpful to our continuing forward. This is the essence of managing change, which itself is an inadequate term for change. It's often unmanageable. Evolution doesn't care what we cherish. It's going forward with or without us. Where evolutionary forces are involved, it's true that you either change or perish. Now maybe that seems a little hard, change or perish. That seems a little bit fear-based actually to me. I'm going to just call that what I feel on it. However, if we change that to say that having faith that this change will bring something good my way, can open us to something new. And so I want to sort of take this into the idea that we got in the first week of Advent, the hope and faith. Because when we look that nothing is lost, when we have that idea that nothing is ever lost, to me that brings hope. It brings hope of possibilities, of potential. And when we have that hope and we move into the idea that I can simply let go of the attachment of what I thought things should look like or what I wanted things to look like, when I let go of that attachment, what I'm doing is I'm placing my faith in something bigger, something better, something more, something unfolding good in my life. Some unfolding good. So nothing is lost. I have hope. I can release attachment. I have faith. These are the ways that we move through this releasing time into the time of Advent. And it seems to me in some ways this time of the year when we're working in November on releasing and then moving into Advent, which is welcoming, it sort of feels like we're on a weird threshold on this day. But you know what? It's perfect because we have to release in order to welcome. We have to be able to let go of what isn't in our life anymore in order to be really truly welcoming of what is in our life and what good is present for us right here and now. So I wanted to tell you a story. This is about a young woman. Now, she had everything going for her. She was well respected. She was engaged to be married to a man who was well respected, had a good job. Well, then she got pregnant. And the thing that happens sometimes is that suddenly her reputation was gone. Suddenly, she worried that she was going to lose her fiancé because this didn't look so good. And suddenly, she thought maybe she was going crazy because there was this angel that came down that said her son was going to be the savior of the world. Now you know who I'm talking about. Her name might have been Mary. So what did Mary do? Well, firstly, she realized that nothing true can ever be lost. Reputation is reputation. It doesn't really matter. It's only a thing. It's only a perception, only an opinion. And besides that, I think she came out with a pretty good reputation in the end. And she also let go of the attachment of what she thought things should look like. She probably thought she was going to have a normal life. I'm just going to get married to this nice carpenter guy. We're going to have good family. We're going to be well respected in our community. But instead, she raised a child who is going to be the master teacher, who is going to change things for the world. So nothing is ever lost. And we can let go of our attachments. Now it feels to me like, these ideas of reputation, of jobs, of ideas of relationships and that sort of thing, those are all a little bit more nebulous. When it comes to having lost somebody to death, that feels so much more permanent. It feels so much more difficult to wrap your head around how that can be a good thing. And I want to honor that. I want to let you know that I can't even right now see yet for myself. But that's okay because I know that I will. Because I have faith that whatever needs to be shown to me, whatever good is to come, is on its way. I have faith. I know that I know that I know. Because nothing true is ever lost. And because I can give up my attachment to how things looked and know that I haven't lost my little love. She's still right in my heart, always. There's a poem I wrote a number of years ago, and I just wanted to bring this in because to me this speaks of the possibilities, of the greater possibilities. It's in the endings where you shine, said the great one, amidst the hushed oohs and ahs of the 100 billion. It's in the endings where the energy released in the breaking of the structure flashes so brightly as to blind the senses. But what you think is pain is only the brilliance of truth's ultimate appearance. It's in the endings where the surrender is so complete that you forget the bindings that limited you, and freedom expands outward with such force and speed as to decimate any lingering impression that you were ever meant to remain small. It's in the endings, in the deaths, in the breakings and the releases that I see myself in you, and universes are born. When we allow ourselves to give birth to a new universe, when we allow ourselves to lean into the change, to surrender to it, We give ourselves over to the greatness that we are. We give ourselves over to the expression of life that wants to be known, that wants to be shown through us, as us. This is a rich and beautiful time. And it's not always easy. But it is so very powerful. So let's affirm this together, shall we? I surrender to change. I allow my highest wisdom to expand my awareness of the good that wants to be expressed by means of me. And so it is. Wonderful.